when Bob came by me, things wasn't too strong with him, so I had to find a boarding, place of boarding. So with Bob Marley, it was more like an adoption contract. So he lives on premises. I see everything go right with him. I bought instruments.
You were really a fan of the Bob Marley?
Yes, I sure was.
Blessed the people, welcome back. So peeps, today we're gonna highlight the first black man in Jamaica to ever own a recording studio. You understand, people? And this individual that we're talking about has been very influential in implementing the genre of our music. You understand, people? And them man really, they're the foundation of dancehall, reggae, ska, and so on. You understand, people? Them man start the thing. You understand? Right at them man foot, everything start. And the individual that I'm talking about, people, is none other than Clement Seymour Dodd, otherwise known as Coxsone Dodd. You know that this producer has been very influential in the musical career of most of our veterans and legendary artists from Jamaica. Artists to include Millie Small, Bob Marley, Jimmy Cliff, Alton Ellis, you know what I mean, people, Toots and the Metals, you know, the Scatterlights, and them man they bring Lee Scratch Perry, you know, and them man they give Prince Buster them a strength same way, you know what I mean, King Tubby. So people, a lot of very influential people in the music industry of Jamaica were coming from that stable. You get me as a people, so we're gonna look a bit into his musical journey, because Coxsone Dodd is a real foundation of our music, you understand, people? And if we don't know where we're coming from, then we may never know where we're going. You get me as a people? So let's take a look at the musical journey of this legendary music producer. So people, Clement Seymour Dodd, otherwise known as Coxsone Dodd, was born on the 26th of January 1932 in Kingston, Jamaica. You know, people, Coxsone Dodd's musical journey started from he was a very young age. You understand, people? Yeah, man, his parents used to be the owners of a record shop, and he used to often be the one who was selling the records, you know. And to sell the records, you know, you have to play the records to the customers. So that was basically his job. So he fell in love with the records and the recording aspect of the music business, which was and still is the most fruitful aspect of the music. You know, at that time, Coxsone Dodd was in America. So he became familiar with the rhythm and blues, you know what I mean, which was a popular music back in that time, in 1954. So people, Dodd returned to Jamaica where he set up the downbeat sound system, being the owner of an amplifier, a turntable, and some US records, which he would import from New Orleans and Miami. And you know, back in them time, the people, a very few people have sound system, you know what I mean? And it never did really matter the type of music we are playing much, you know. As long as people hear a beat and a rhythm, people will turn up at the dance. It's not like now when a man keep a dance and it have to be a certain sound or it have to be in a certain promoter and so on. But then, once a sound string up and people know say a sound string up, people are come out and come enjoy themselves. You see it? Because back in those days, people never really used to that, you know what I mean? People were really fascinated just by the sound system itself, you know what I mean? Just for know say it a play so loud, because back then as some little radio people really used to. So you know, Coxsone Dodd's sound system was really a success. You see me as a people. And with the success of his sound system and in a competitive environment, Dodd would make trips to the US looking for new tunes to attract the Jamaican public. Because after a time, people start to go towards the sound that play better and the sound where I give them better music where them can rap to. Because remember those days, Jamaica never really have no music like that, you see it. And when Prince Buster and them man they come in and start to do them little thing, because them couldn't get to go buy a record and decide to them have to go record them own music, you see it. And so comes, you know, the scare and them thing they start to come in, you know what I mean? And people start to really record music on the ground, yes, so. So while Dad was out in the world, you know what I mean, trying to get music and so on and so forth, his mother, whose name is Doris Darlington, would run the sound system on his behalf, you know, play the tunes and so on. Dad opened 5 different sound systems, each playing every night to run his sound systems. Dad had appointed people such as Lee Scratch Perry, who was Dad's right-hand man in his early career, Uri and Prince Buster. You understand, people? Remember me just talked about Prince Buster a while ago? Perry would later leave Dad in 1966 due to Perry feeling disrespected by Dad. This is documented in the 1966 song, The Upsetter. And you know, people like Prince Buster and so on became rivals to Coxsone Dodd because they had started their own sound system. But when the R&B craze ended in the United States, Dodd and his rivals were forced to begin recording their own Jamaican music in order to meet the local demand for new music. That's when Jamaicans really start to record them own music now. You understand, people? So a lot of people don't know these things, you know. Even a lot of people in music do not know these musical history. And as I say, if we don't know where we're coming from, then we have challenges for really get somewhere. So them thing and knowledge that people really need to have. So people, in the year 1959, Dad started a record company that he called World Disc. In 1962, he was the producer of the album titled I Cover the Waterfront, which was jazz music. And this was on the Porto Jam label. And two of the musicians who played on the album, Roland Alfonso and Dan Drummond, became founding members of the Scatterlights 1 year later. In 1963, Dad opened Studio One on Brentford Road, Kingston. It was the first black-owned recording studio in Jamaica. He held regular Sunday evening auditions in search of new talent, and it was here that Dad auditioned Bob Marley, singing as part of the Wailers group. So people, in the early 1960s, Dad was producing ska hits by Toots and the Maytals, Gaylords, and the Scatterlights. During the late 1960s and 1970s, the Studio One sound was synonymous with the sound of ska, rocksteady, and reggae. As a result of this, Dad was able to attract some of Jamaica's new musicians, including Burning Spear, Ross Michael, Delroy Wilson, Horace Andy, Sound Dimension, and Sugar Minot. After operating for some time, Dad closed his studio and moved his base of operations to New York City. So Dad continued to be active in the music industry for several years, and I mean, bringing many artists to the forefront, helping them to achieve their musical goals. And even in his 70s, Dad was still active in music, doing recordings just the same. On the 1st of May 2004, Kingston Brentford Road was renamed Studio One Boulevard in a ceremony which paid tribute to Coxsone Dodd's accomplishment as a producer. Coxsone Dodd died suddenly of a heart attack 3 days later after the ceremony. I mean, he was 72 years old whilst working at Studio One. He was awarded with the Order of Distinction in the rank of Commander on the 15th of October 2007 for service to Jamaican music industry. You know, that them help bring Jamaican music on a different level, and we have to acknowledge them. So that is my bit about Coxsone Dodd. You get to me, I say, people, you can leave your opinion in the comment section. As also, you can like, share, subscribe. Peace.
Well, it started like about 40 years ago. And at that time I operated a series of sound system for dances and parties. We usually import a lot of rhythm and blues, jazz, and shuffle.
Shuffle music.
Shuffle music. Then later, it shifted from rhythm and blues and went to rock and roll. But the rock and roll didn't go over strongly in Jamaica.
I mean, when you played in the dances, you realized that the people were not taken to the rock and roll.
So we then decided to record some songs of our own locally, suitable for dancing. So we started.
So this means that you had your studio by then?
No.
You didn't have a studio at that time?
No. We usually use Federal Records, RJBC here.
Oh, you started your recording some things here?
Yes, I did quite a few songs here, and they were hit like Silky by Ernest Wilson. And quite a few more hits.
I see. Okay. So what gave you the confidence that you could be a record producer in your own right? Because you had gone abroad and you had been importing these records. What made you think that you could do it?
It's all a test, you know. We tried it, and after session, we'd get to the dances and play these records and the sound system and watch the reaction of the crowd. But we knew what we wanted, and we have been in the business for like say 5 years before we actually went into marketing. Because we started thinking it would be only for the sound system. We didn't know it was marketable.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So when you started recording, you basically were recording for the parties?
For the parties, that's it. And it went on, and we experimented a lot. And we shifted from that blue beat and went into ska. And then from the ska we went on into rocksteady, then to reggae.
No, I don't know, I'm not a musician. So, and many of those who are watching us are not musicians. How does one come up with a beat? I mean, how it was that we came upon ska?
Well,
I mean, you were right there, you were present at the creation.
Well, how it really started is every time you get on the offbeat, the piano locked together with the guitar on the offbeat, it really gave you a vibe and it was moving like that. But we used to variate it, you know, use different sound, but we found out that keeping to that steady offbeat was more danceable. So this is.
So you identified this ska. You said you wanted this.
That's that. Yeah, really.
And you tested it out at the dance.
At the dances, and it went over strongly.
Where were these dances being held in Jamaica at that time?
Like places like Foresters Hall, Jubilee, Success Club, Bournemouth, and like Gold Coast and St. Thomas Road there. Yes.
And who were the people coming to these parties? There were mainly people from the downtown.
Yes, from the downtown
area.
Yeah.
It was perhaps Baron Lee who took ska uptown.
Well,
how did ska start to reach the upper crust people?
Well, how it started is like after we got going and the parties was really charming. You have people like Sticky Parks from the radio station, and trying to remember some of the names, even from JBC.
Oh, people from JBC started playing it?
Started attending the dances and Foresters Hall.
I see.
And when they see other people enjoy themselves, they came back, and this is how we was able to get a little exposure on the records, because up to then the record wasn't played.
The records were not playing on the station?
That's right.
Okay. I wonder what the reaction was like when when downtown music started to be played. I wonder what the big people, the St. Andrew people said.
Well, they realized that they weren't living, because we in the ghetto really, in the early days, used to live good and...
People in the ghetto live good and live
lovingly too. Yeah, that's right. And we shared everything together, you know.
And this love, this feeling of togetherness came out in the music?
Yes, it was all there. You see, we dealt with more conscious lyrics, you know. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, love your brother as you love yourself, you know.
So it's on the gun talk?
No, that's no good.
You weren't into that?
No. And we're trying to get this out of the society, because they're not only singing it, they are living it.
And you see the music having a negative effect on the society now?
Of course. And abroad it's the same. The people clamoring for the older sounds.
Studio One has been reissuing a number of the older records. You find that there's a thirst for the music of the early years?
Strong demand for the earlier music. So for the past year, I've been trying to clean up some of the earlier tapes and re-releasing, and it's a certain hit.
Yeah.
They're selling no more than they sold
at that time.
Yeah.
Do you feel that Jamaican music can come back to the form that it had, to the dynamism that it had in the early
Well, actually, this is what we are hoping for, and like this show.
So this show this afternoon is supposed to reawaken people's interest.
Yes, it's a revival of like the artists, and I would say the cream of the crop. Altanellis, Delroy Wilson, the Scatolites. These are the people who really contributed earlier to the sounds.
Yeah.
That is no world acclaim. It is even now labeled as the world beat.
Yes, yeah. Steady to reggae. How did you discover Alton?
Alton came by the studio, but after the first 2 songs, I realized that Alton was a giant.
You started Alton early.
Yes, his delivery, he's the one who brought soul to reggae, And Alton is great, and I'm hoping for the public to realize and really support.
So you think Alton still has relevance? It still has currency?
Very much, very much.
Well, we will test that this afternoon.
Yeah, come on out. You'll enjoy it.
Yes, so I certainly will be there this afternoon. We're talking about the degeneration of the music, and you were saying that one of the things you want to do is to bring back the quality.
Yes, very mean.
So you will have a series of all these stage shows. I mean, this is the one this afternoon is not is the first of a number.
No, this will be a road show. We'll be taking it to US and the continent also. There's a demand for these artists, and artists like Higgs and Wilson and Gillad's. People never thought they could come back together again.
That's true. And you have scouted all over the US and England and Canada, and you've brought back these original artists. I mean, that must have been a monumental work.
Yes, I'm happy for that, and to know that I've got good relation with most of the artists and musicians over the years.
Yeah. What are the things that have given you the greatest satisfaction, Sir Coxsone, over these 35 years being involved in the music industry?
Well, like spotting an artist out of the clear blue sky for the first time, and to come up with a formula to get him on the road to hit. Like going back to Bob Marley, how it started. And I felt from the first.
You discovered Bob Marley?
Yes, I did.
The Studio One?
Yes, I did. And working with them, and today to see how far the sound have gone.
Tell me about your early relationship with Bob Marley, because a lot of people didn't know that Bob Marley in fact lived on Brentford Road at the back of your studio. Yes, you discovered him as a poor kid. Tell us about that, and let us set the record straight.
Well, really, when Bob came by me, things wasn't too strong with him, so I had to find a place of boarding. And
I experienced that kind of giving him. He was what?
Yeah, he was staying with this lady in Trenchtown, and when she heard that I was interested in him and would sign a contract, she really agreed. So with Bob Marley, it was more like an adoption contract. So he lives on premises. I see everything go right with him. I bought instruments.
You were really a father to Bob Marley?
Yes, I sure was. Right? And even they were by me for like, Bob was there for the first 4 years. Then Bonnie and Peter Touch joined him at Brentford Road and stayed for about another 4 years.
Yeah. In an interview which you gave to Billboard, the prestigious magazine of the music industry, recently, I think you said that you were the one who chose Bob as the leader of the Wailers.
Yeah, because when it came to me, it was Brathwaite was the leader. Then Brathwaite left the island to join his relative abroad. Then I selected Bob, because Bob somehow was a very good artist. His delivery was perfect, expression, whatever it is. He had something in him. I could see it from the...
And Bob met Rita through your studio?
Yes, of course. Well, as a matter of fact, you mentioned earlier, I acted like a father because they were going together, and I said, well, get it straight. And
You encouraged Bob to get married?
Yeah.
Was it appealing to you, speaking frankly, Sir Coxsone, when he went to Chris Blackwell when there was that break. How it affected you, knowing that you took him and you brought him? And
yes, along the way, when you're dealing with people and you find out that they're not grateful, you just give up and you don't have no hard feeling because you know you have done your best. You know? But in Chris Blackwell's case, he was more stronger financially, and from where he focused from, like say England, he was able to break Bob.
Yes. He had the connections.
Yes, he had the connections.
Yes.
Because I tested the artist with him before Millie. Millie was contracted to me.
Millie, very small.
Yes, when she did stuff like This World, Sugar Plum, and whatever with Owen Gray. And Chris phoned me and say, because he had released that song in England, it went over strong. So all over the years, Chris only been monitoring the local scene. Then when the artist is strong enough,
as soon as the producer's top artist, they come around with a big contract and
that's it.
And take them. But despite the contributions that you have made, Sir Coxsone, there have been charges over the years by some artists that they have been ripped off, that they have been not been treated right by you. And I'd like to give you the opportunity to respond to this. How could these charges have a reason? Because there's a little bit of bad blood between some of the boys, between you and some of the boys who passed through the studio.
Well, remembering from the concept of the business is that in the early days it was a set fee for recording. Then came 69 when I decided to put artists on.
So when you say set fee, you mean you pay a man money to do a record?
Yes.
And that was it? You pay a man a one-off thing?
That was the thing.
Okay.
Then after we realized these records was marketable and whatever it is, we decided to sign contractual agreement with the artists. Well, most of the artists doesn't have an income. They don't work, they don't know anything.
Yeah.
So I will be advancing them weekly. And if there's any little mishap, I still stand by them or whatever it is. Well, some artists might take a longer time to produce a hit record, right? Some may take 2 years.